There are rooms that never empty, even after everyone leaves. The crimes of Jeffrey Epstein did not vanish with his death, nor with the conviction of his closest accomplice. They persist as atmosphere, unseen but thick, settling into courtrooms, boardrooms, newsrooms, and the institutions that once promised to expose them. The lingering presence is not supernatural. It is structural. The haunting continues because the system that birthed the abuse is still in control. So how can we be better than those who enabled it? Start with this. The opposite of complicity is not distance. It is discipline. The first failure was silence. Not the passive kind, but the cultivated, enforced, weaponized kind. Silence protected the powerful. It did not emerge from ignorance, but from calculation. It traded in favors, careers, reputations. We now have documents, over 20,000 pages, that show how deeply this rot ran. Emails revealing knowledge of the girls. A once-denied photo now confirmed. Court records fought over by institutions more eager to bury than to understand. That's the silence we're still navigating, not one that precedes knowledge, but one designed to prevent it. To be better than the conspirators is to resist this silence not with noise, but with moral clarity. That means refusing to look away when truth is expensive. It means speaking when the costs are personal, not just performative. The law must produce justice, but only when tempered by mercy. Mercy for the victims, not for the image-conscious machinery of institutional preservation. Authority must guide, but only when bounded by humility. Those in power must learn to say, "We failed. We were blind. We must change." The second failure was power. Not the loud kind, but the quiet, polished, credentialed kind. Power that wears charity like armor, that calls its predators men of influence, that launders guilt through philanthropy and deletes the memory of wrongdoing with headlines about donations. This is the power that moved Epstein through society's elite circles, long after he was a known abuser, long after he was registered, long after his crimes were public record. It is the power that convinces banks to file motions to dismiss claims that they enabled trafficking, claiming plausible deniability while survivors name names. To be better than the conspirators is not to renounce power, but to restrain it with compassion. Power must protect the vulnerable, not the system. It must serve transparency, not reputation. Conviction must bring clarity, but only when refined by self-examination. Without asking why we believe what we do and whom our institutions protect, we repeat the same patterns under new branding. Zeal for justice must be paired with wisdom, or it turns into a spectacle, a cycle of outrage that changes nothing. The third failure was in our misunderstanding of revelation. We assumed that exposure would fix everything. But revelation is not redemption. It is only the beginning of a reckoning, one that must be interpreted through patience, lest knowledge remain shallow and fragmented. Now, with renewed congressional demands to release every remaining file, with redactions still guarding names we are told we do not need to know, we face a choice. Do we let the truth corrode into background noise, or do we listen long enough for it to matter? To be better than the conspirators is to understand that truth is not a destination, but a discipline. Freedom only yields something good when it is ordered by truth. That means freedom for the press, yes, but also the moral courage to report what matters. It means freedom of speech, but not freedom from scrutiny. It means accepting that knowing the truth creates obligations we cannot defer. Tradition, too, must answer to this. Not as nostalgic performance, but as a living thing. Tradition should anchor our identity, but only when enlivened by spirit, by the impulse to protect the voiceless, not preserve the comfort of the powerful. Righteousness becomes integrity only when we are honest about our motives. And if we do not interrogate those motives, if our call for justice is just a proxy for vengeance or political gain, we are no better than the institutions that buried the truth for decades. Correction must restore, not destroy. That is the final measure. To be better than an Epstein conspirator is not merely to punish them. It is to build what they tried to prevent. A culture of accountability where truth does not depend on leaks, lawsuits, or suicides to be heard. It is to love justice enough to make it slow, careful, enduring. Not driven by spectacle, but by the hope that one day, rooms like these really can be emptied. The ghosts will not rest until the living finally look. And keep looking. And do not flinch.